USC has not played to its potential since the Pete Carroll era. These are facts. Where USC under Pete Carroll repeatedly destroyed Big Ten teams in the Rose Bowl. They won 2 national championships, competed for a third, and lost to a generational college player in Vince Young and a wonderful, epic Texas team. Ever since Carroll left, and really ever since the final year of the Carroll era, they have played below their ceiling. They have not played big boy, blue blood football. They haven't. Well, with the number 2 or number 1 recruiting class, depending on where you look, with a variety of staff upgrades, an elite defensive coordinator, a quarterback and offensive guru as the head coach, and look, a coach and staff that's under pressure. Pressure can either break you or build diamonds. I want to entertain you all and show you what USC playing to its potential looks like. That's what I want to talk about here. So the Trojans, they're one of the best college football programs. They are a definitive blue blood. And right now, in fact, they're viewed as the 6th best program historically per Kyle Umlang, who's the expert, the blue blood expert. He has this really intricate, carefully calculated formula where you plug in NFL players, Hall of Famers, national champions, AP poll appearances, wins, conference championships, All-Americans, unanimous All-Americans, you name it. There's more that he plugs in and spits out this number determining where your team is ranked historically. Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel, or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you, and all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership, or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. USC is one of the 8 Blue Bloods, and they are not 8th. They are the 6th best per Kyle Umlang. And with where USC is heading, and with the fact that they have an estimated 3,900 alumni worth $30 million or more. Just look up ultra wealthy alumni by college and you will find multiple reports from different sources where, yeah, USC has thousands of alumni who are ultra wealthy, multi-millionaires, some even billionaires. Don't trust me. Look it up for yourself. Do some searching and do some research. They are one of the wealthiest blue bloods in college football by alumni base. And many of the schools who are wealthier than them are Ivy Leagues who don't play FBS ball, or they're Stanford who aren't as invested as USC is, for example. Sadly, it'd be beautiful to have Stanford good again. But we're talking about USC here. They also have an elite recruiting base. In 2024, 278 active NFL players were from California. They only trailed Texas and Florida in that regard. Georgia's catching up, but we've seen Lincoln Riley and his staff try to recruit Georgia, had a lot of failures, had some successes, and I imagine if all goes to plan and USC starts winning again, they'll be able to pull some recruits out of the South in addition to getting many players, great players, and developing them from the state of California. USC is also inside the Power 2, so they're no longer inside the Pac-12, which was pretty directionless. They're in one of the most prominent conferences, the Big Ten, and they are one of the biggest brands inside a Big Ten conference that is going toe-to-toe with the SEC. They also have a proven head coach in Lincoln Riley who has had 5 conference championship game appearances, 3 college football playoff berths. Lincoln Riley wins an estimated 70% of his close games. That includes last year's disaster in close games, and he's 81-24 as a coach. 4 Big 12 championships, a Pac-12 championship game appearance where starting quarterback gets hurt. Utah ends up winning it, but still made it in year 1. And last year they were only one of a few teams that led or tied every team they played in the fourth quarter. I think the other teams were Oregon, and Oregon got knocked out in the Rose Bowl. And then you also had, I think, Ohio State It may have been just USC and Ohio State when it was all said and done. Oh, and I think no, because Texas had that Georgia game. USC was up there. They had a very high ceiling last year, but also had a lower floor than they wanted. That was part of the problem. How do you mitigate that long term? I first and foremost want to give you the 2025 schedule. We can talk about the short term. I want you to think about the long term while we're talking about this, because short term, what does USC playing to its potential look like in 2025? Well, it looks like you start off 5-0. You beat Missouri State week 1, Georgia Southern, Purdue on the road, Michigan State at home, and even Illinois on the road. You don't care about those teams. You have vastly more talent than they do. In theory, you also should have better staffs. But again, circle back, you have deeper rosters, better talent. You should beat all of those teams entering the Week 6 bye 5-0. USC's plus 420 to reach the playoffs, and they used to have a lot worse in terms of higher odds. They used to be much higher odds beyond plus 500 to reach the playoffs, but they've come down a bit. And they also used to be beyond plus 2,000 to win the Big Ten. Now they're plus 1,900, viewed as clearly that, tier 2B or tier 3 team behind Michigan and the big 3, Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State, to win the Big Ten. And then, off your Week 6 bye, you don't lose to Michigan or Notre Dame. You don't get out physicaled by them. You compete with both, and you beat one. You trade blows. You go 1-1 or 2-0. You cannot go 0-2 in that stretch. Or if you do, you have to win every other game. Every other game outside of Oregon on the road week 13. And Nebraska off the week 9 bye in week 10, that's not going to be fun. Northwestern at home should be a win. Iowa at home week 12, they're probably going to be a better matchup than Illinois or Michigan State because they're bigger, more talented. They have a quarterback finally on top of having a really good defense and special teams unit. Week 13 at Oregon, that's going to be very challenging, but you also beat UCLA in week 14. Playing to your potential as USC football in 2025 means that you go 9-3 at the worst. You don't go any worse than that. Now, I'm not saying that's the only acceptable record. I think 8-4 is acceptable, and anything worse than that's just a complete catastrophe. But the only record that I would say USC should feel good with, not just, okay, we crossed the bar, now we have to do it again, but good about, I feel good, is 9-3. And playing to your absolute potential will yield 10, 11, or even 12 wins. Absolute potential, heck, throw caution with the wind. Absolute potential with this team, with the schedule you have, and the idea that maybe Michigan, Notre Dame, and Oregon could be all overvalued by the books and by the public. And there's a very good chance of that happening. Very good. I already think Notre Dame's a bit overvalued. I think that Michigan is probably properly valued, and I think Oregon is properly valued as well. That's net overvalued. I'm telling you that in the average, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Michigan are more likely to all be worse than expected than all better than expected. Just because of how much Notre Dame and Oregon lose, the coordinator change Notre Dame has, the fact that Michigan lost a lot of high-end talent, and it's not just that because they'll probably be better than they were last year, but being ranked top 15 almost unanimously by power ratings and polls, there's a lot of wiggle room, a lot of margin for error, not just positive, but also negative. And Oregon loses a lot too. They return, I think, only like 5 starters, for example. So that's what it will look like. It'll look like USC dominating 8 or 9 of the teams they play, and against Michigan, Notre Dame, and Oregon, you're competing. You're neck and neck with these guys, and you're at least beating, I would say, one of them. And you can, of course, afford an upset loss. It's not easy to travel to Illinois week 5 or at Nebraska week 10 or host Iowa week 12. And I would say that USC likely won't even play Oregon exactly close. Similar rosters, Oregon's just better at everything. It's kind of how I view it, where Oregon's been an offensive first team for quite a while. USC, it's been similar, although I think USC is the better defensive coordinator than Oregon, but I think that'll take more than 2 years to show on the field because Oregon's just recruited dramatically better. They have bigger bodies, better athletes. That game will be tough given it's an Autzen. But all the other games, I would say, are very winnable, and even the Oregon game is winnable. Oregon is not an invincible team this year. They weren't last year, even though they went 13-0. In 2025, to continue with all of this, how I'm going to back my opinions up is while they only return 8 starters last year, 5 on offense, 3 on defense, and they only bring back half of their production, USC returns their head coach in Lincoln Riley, their de facto offensive coordinator, who's Lincoln Riley, their defensive coordinator, D'Anton Lynn, and 7 other assistant coaches. They have kept their staff together, and in the preseason, they're viewed as 13 points better than the average college football team per FPI and 11 points better per S&P+. Their strength of schedule is also outside of the top 10. 28th per FPI, 20th per S&P+. They don't return a lot. They don't. But they didn't return a lot either entering 2024, and yet they showed moments where they were better than they were in 2023 to a certain degree. They were certainly much better on defense, and I think certainly were a much better team in big games because they had that extra physical element, and they were tougher and better on defense while maintaining really the same overall upside on offense at every position but quarterback. And that mattered a lot, and that clearly showed its ugly head last season. But I imagine with Maava, and Maava fits the traditional Lincoln Riley quarterback more than Miller Moss does, I'd expect quarterback to improve. I think a lot of positions that lost talent will in fact improve because you're losing a lot of players who were exclusively coached by Benny Wiley or even some by Clay Helton, a lot of transfers, a lot of players who are coached by Grinch, and now you're getting even more players who are D'Anton Lynn's or have been trained by him. You're also going to have Tremaine Carroll involved this season. Of course, he's not going to have a full year of effect because Wiley was fired in the spring, but there will be some impact, I think. This team should be better than last year's team, for sure. And USC playing at its potential in 2025, I think will yield a college football playoff berth. That's what that would yield. And maybe because it's Riley and because I think they have a really good defensive coordinator on top of a really good offensive play caller, and Riley knows how to work with quarterbacks, especially transfers, especially players that he can get them to play in game pretty quickly, or they've already showcased themselves in college. I think there's a chance they could even be a dark horse national champion. But let's look to the future. In the future, USC should expect to reach the playoffs annually. You are a blue blood. You can recruit at a high level. You've been better at development, and you've had your grace period. You now need to reach the CFP annually, and when you don't, it's a failure. That doesn't mean you go out and fire people, because sometimes you have a down year. That means you need to do some self-reflection. If you need to make staff changes or roster changes, you do. You should expect to reach the playoffs annually after this season. This season, you don't need to reach it. It'd be awesome if you did, but you don't need to. You should also expect to compete in the Big Ten annually. That does not mean making it to Indy every year. It's different. What I mean is in November, you are in the running where there is a way for you to get there in November. It's much harder to reach the Big Ten championship game than reaching the playoffs. Reaching Indy or Atlanta or any championship game now, unless you're in the Big 12, is harder than getting to the playoffs. It just is. You have to have a certain amount of luck, more luck, to get to a conference title game, especially in the Big 2, than getting to the playoffs. But you should be competing for the Big Ten championship game yearly. And as for the national championship, I think every blue blood should expect at least one every 10 years. Little asterisk there, that's Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska should quite expect that until they're reaching the playoffs consistently. Every other blue blood, the other 7, if you want to count Penn State, I count Penn State, but I know not everyone does, so just wanted to shout that out there. They should expect to win a national title once every 10 years. And if they don't, then that is a failure, and you need to work at getting to that point. And some blue bloods, and occasionally some teams that aren't blue bloods, like Oregon, for example, they should expect to win it all once every 10 years. And some blue bloods, I'd say like Ohio State or Alabama, given recent history and how they're unanimously the top 2 blue bloods, really, they should expect, I think, depending on circumstance, to win it all twice every 10 years at minimum. So the Trojans, from here on out, things need to get better, and they need to get better pretty quickly. I think they can. And that is in part because I think right now, under the current NIL structure, current recruiting rules, they are a top 5 recruiting program. They have a top 15 staff, I think, right now. And they've churned out NFL talent before. People can win at USC before. Think of USC in the 20th century. Think about the Pete Carroll era. I love the outlook of this team. And the reason I'm setting the expectations high and telling you that when they play to their potential, they can be a dynasty is because that's factually correct. When USC is rolling, they are a dynasty. Look at those teams in the 2000s under Pete Carroll. If the playoff existed back then, I'm very, very confident that Pete Carroll would have more than 2 national championships. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, joined the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free, and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.